Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, April 14th. The regular season is done. The Celtics are ready for the playoffs. They are the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, 61 and quick maths. What would that be? Wait,
21.
21 record. Jesus, that was bad. Record to end the regular season. Sam, how you doing? Welcome back.
Doing good. Happy to be back. Very big thanks to Mr. T. Sent him a text message yesterday thanking him, but we'll thank him publicly on the show for filling in for me. I do appreciate that. It does allow me to, be away and be flexible on vacation. Nobody offers flexibility like the HBTC show does. I'll tell you that. But speaking of the show, really fun show today. We'll talk about the playoffs are here almost. Celtics will learn who they play tomorrow night or tonight as you hear this. Either will be Atlanta or Orlando. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about just the season as a whole. We'll go through your emails, check the standings. Some firings have already happened. And do the rat list. It'll be really fun. Stick around for all of it. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell. We're here every single day. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the morning after each game. And other videos around the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. So again, stick around and subscribe.
Indeed. Celtics regular season is all wrapped up. Like I said, 61-21 record to finish it off. They're the first defending champions to reach the 60-win mark since the 2015-16 Warriors. Turk pointed it out last night. They're only the third since the 2008 Celtics did it back when they won the title then. The other would be the Heatles. So pretty good company to be in, I would argue, the Stephen Curry Warriors and the LeBron James Heat, two of the, I would say, better teams that we've seen in the last few decades here. But I before the season, I did like a game-by-game prediction, and I had them at 59 wins. They finished with 61. I said this to Cam last night. Like, it's kind of crazy how all year we're like, oh my God, the Cavs are just storming away. And then you get to the end of the season, and they're 3 games ahead of the Celtics, 64 versus 61 wins. And realistically, like, the NBA is a very volatile league. The difference between 64 and 61 wins is truly a bad bounce here, a travel call there, a turnover there. Like you break down some of these games, like, oh, the Celtics should have won that one. They could easily be at 65. They could also easily be at 55, but that's the beauty of the NBA. That is what it is. But to see the Celtics finish with 61 wins, play so well after winning a championship and be so close to the Cavs team that everyone thought was miles ahead of them all year is a pretty impressive wrap to the season. You're muted, brother.
Standing wise, the Cavs were ahead, but I don't think anybody was like, watch out for the Cavs. Like, Celtics are in big trouble with the Cavs. I think the finish is actually probably appropriate. I think the Cavs had a great start to the season. They obviously won, 14, 15 in a row or something before they came to the Garden and lost in the NBA Cup. Prestigious competition, by the way. Big game loss for the Cavs. Something to monitor going into the postseason. The fact that they did fall to the Celtics when the lights were brightest this year. Listen, 61 wins is impressive, especially considering the Celtics just played like me and the boys from like December to early February. It just wasn't a pretty stretch, and yet they still managed to get to where they're at. They were elite in the times outside of that stretch is what that tells you. And I think you should feel pretty good about everything. The Jalen Nee thing might put a big question mark above it all, but for now, you should feel good. I know Jack and Cam talked about it on Saturday. Jalen's probably going to be ready, or he's most definitely going to be ready for game 1 of the playoffs with his sick injection to his knee. So we should all be pumped. Great time of the year, my favorite time of the year until it starts. And I'm like, I hate my life because this is hell and I'm anxious and I'm sitting here thinking about games all day. But like for this week, when we can just sit here and think about like playoff basketball, the most fun time of the year. We're just think of all the games on Saturday and Sunday. Going to be awesome games, awesome environments. We got a little like playoff preview with Warriors, Clippers on Sunday afternoon. That was an awesome game. Mm-hmm. So just has me ready, fired up. Good playoff basketball at the Garden. We'll be back. Can't wait.
Indeed. Yeah, playoff basketball is hype. But just before we move on to the playoffs, like this regular season, like thinking about it, right? Last year, everyone unfathomably excited about the regular season in terms of the results, right? 64 wins is crazy. Everyone was like, oh my God, they just killed everyone. Like they just dominated. It was like a 14 game. It was the lead Thunder have on the West, but the Celtics did that in the East, right? And everyone was like freaking out. And to sit here a year later after, like, even you just said, and you're not wrong, like, yeah, like they played like shit for however long. Shit is such a relative word when it comes to Celtics because they are now only 3 games behind what everyone last year considered as like the perfect regular season, pretty much, right? Like everyone was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like there was no bad things. Every once in a while, there was a game where you're like, okay, they should have won that. Maybe they should have done this, blah, blah, blah. But by and large, it was like, this is exactly what should have happened. And you fast forward to now, a year later, and they are 3 games off the pace that they set for themselves that year. And everyone's like the whole regular season was like, do they have it still? What has happened? And it just puts into context how high of a standard they hold for themselves, and rightfully so. Like they're a championship contender, and that's what Joe Mazzulla likes to do, and he said that all year. But it's just like we spend the whole year panicking and dissecting if they're going to be there just to get to the end of the regular season, and they're in almost an identical situation to where they were. The only difference being there's now 2 other teams who have also won 60 plus games for the first time since like I think 2009 was the last time 3 teams won 60 plus games. So the only difference in the conversation is just that there's other people who I guess people have to compare them to now, which changes it a little bit. But from the Celtics internally, and I think that's what they're worried about, that is what matters. And you see all these stats and like it's like they're all level, right? Like they have a little bit more wins, but like if you look at like LeBron and all these other like advanced stats, the Celtics are better. If you look at net rating, the Thunder are better. If you look at like they're all like on a very equal playing field, despite the fact that everyone has been saying, oh my God, the Celtics aren't the best team in the league anymore, which is like it just shows you that standard that they held for themselves.
Not the best team in the league anymore. Well, the record does say that. OKC is very real, by the way. Don't want that to be discounted. OKC is scary. They are like the bizarro Celtics in the sense that they're just like the same thing, but in the Western Conference. Very deep, very talented team, really good players at the top, and it just trickles down throughout the roster where you can rely on 3 or 4 different guys to maybe give you a bench scoring punch in a playoff game. Some other teams don't really have that luxury, right? Cleveland is a team where you feel like Mitchell's really good at the top. He's an excellent player. Mobley's excellent, but they do have players on the team that it feels like you can exploit. OKC doesn't really have that. The Celtics don't really have exploitable players, at least that are complete pillars of the way the team is supposed to work, which is why I think a lot of us here don't feel threatened by the Cavs because you just know at the end of the day, Kenny Atkinson's probably going to want Darius Garland to be on the floor as much as he possibly can. The Celtics have made an initiative of picking on him when he's out there. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. They've been, split results on that one. But even like a player like Jared Allen isn't the greatest perimeter defender. And if you go and you look at his minutes in the Celtics games this year, they are probably down from his season average. There were times where it was just Mobley out there by himself, and the Cavs did a really good job in those moments. But it just feels like they are a powerhouse night, but there are chinks in the armor. OKC feels like they are a step above that, and that is the team that probably like the casual fan wants to see. Well, casual fan probably would like to see Celtics Lakers in the finals, but like the maybe above casual like basketball enjoyer would like to see Celtics Thunder in the finals. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the best series for basketball, like in terms of the level of play, and the Thunder could very well beat the Celtics. I also think it's hard for me to sit here and say like, oh my God, yeah, the Celtics are screwed against the Thunder because in the 2 games they played against the Thunder, they just shot like shit on open shots. Like it's not like it's not like they were completely outmatched, like got completely killed. The Thunder suppressed everything they did. If you look at those 2 games against the Thunder, I bet the Celtics shot 20% on wide open shots because Thunder gave them a lot of open shots. Like that's what the Thunder's entire thing is. It is sending pressure. It is bringing the big to the level, double teaming Tatum there with Lou Dort and Isaiah Hartenstein and rotating super quick. And they are, I've said this, the best rotating team I've ever seen, but those are still shots the Celtics make every other night. And so I don't know how it would fare out in a 7-game series. Very like I think it would be a true 50-50 if the 2 teams played in a finals, but I don't think the Thunder are this unbeatable, defensive juggernaut that can completely contain what the Celtics do. I just think it was 2 nights where the Celtics had off shooting nights, also missed some guys, and the Thunder missed some guys. Like, I don't know. I think it would be a pretty even series. Regardless, great regular season for Boston. Came up big. 61 wins is awesome. if you look back at the regular season one final time before we move on to the potential first round matchups and stuff, is there any like outside of that stretch in January, which is like I boil down to just like whatever, like it happens. I don't think there's a single team in NBA history outside of maybe the few 70-win teams that don't have a stretch like that. And even the 70-win teams, I'm pretty sure have lost like X amount of games and stuff like that. What is your biggest like this went wrong, if anything? Because for me, it's like I don't really know. Like they've just played really good basketball outside of that down stretch.
Well, the obvious thing is Jalen's injury, which is not a basketball
Sure.
strategic issue. To broaden that, Jalen as a whole really wasn't where I would have expected him to be this year. And I think just about everybody, we've said this before, but Tatum, everyone that wasn't him had a stretch this year where you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like, get it together. Tatum, coast to coast, excellent. Really great season from Tatum. I don't know if we can justifiably say it was his best ever, but it just felt like he was consistent. You could rely on him. When the lights were bright, he showed up to play. If you go and you pull up his averages against like the 4 other top teams, they're really good. He lit up the Knicks, not to say the Knicks are a top team, but those were also big, bright light spots. Played really well against Cleveland and so on. But Jalen, it doesn't feel you can rely on him as strongly as you could have last year in the playoffs, and he played a big part of their championship success. He made a lot of big shots in their run to banner 18, and now you enter the playoffs a year later, and he's maybe injured, and even outside of that, like he's less efficient this year. He hasn't been able to make threes very much. So I think having one of your most important players take a step back at the part of your offense that is the most prominent isn't the most thrilling thing to carry with you into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but like you said, like it's not a controllable thing, unfortunately. It's just a tough issue that has happened and that they will have to deal with. In terms of the actual basketball, though, like I don't know what I look at and say, yeah, that's a problem. Like last year, everyone was like, they can't play in close games, which ended up being, I don't want to say a false narrative because just, or maybe it's just a narrative they proved wrong because they played in close games the entire Pacer series and they played really well. I just like looking around it, I think they've been a lot better in close games this year. A lot of it is just Jason Tatum has hit the shots in close games, which is just a matter of
that is better,
which is a big thing. People talk about the pace. I don't really like buy that. I think that's a little flawed because like you look at the best pace teams in the league. It's not like they're these juggernauts, right? It's not like it's everybody except the Celtics. It's like the Pacers and, you know, maybe the Wizards or the Grizzlies. Like it's just a whole mix of random teams. Like there's no correlation between pace and good, right? So I don't know how much that necessarily matters. But
pace can actually be a crutch if you're not as great as executing in the half court. You need to have that transition firepower in order to compete. Like the Pacers, very great offense, but you kind of saw last season in the playoffs. Not to say it's a carbon copy of the same team, but when the game slowed down and the games were close, Jack mentioned the Celtics outscored them in the last couple minutes of all those games, and there was a reason why it was a sweep. It was because they weren't as good when everything slowed down, when they weren't able to get out in transition, and it showed, and it hurt them.
Mm-hmm. I know we talked about the fourth quarter too, for a little bit in that January stretch, but even that, like, fourth quarter shots are flawed in the regular season, objectively so, especially for teams like the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder. What, 20% of their fourth quarters are played by the two-way players, right? Like, how much can you actually pull from that in terms of fourth quarter statistics? Maybe you pull it to clutch time games, and then that's where you see it. Like, let's look at that. Maybe that's better because in clutch time games outside of last night when it's game 82 and no one's playing anyways, like, who is playing those clutch minutes? Like, what are we getting? Where do I find clutch minutes? This is gonna be quick. I found them already. Okay, we're good. Celtics record in clutch games. Okay. Clutch games. Who has the best win percentage in clutch games? Do you want to guess the top 5 or top anything, or do you not feel like guessing and you want me to just say
Pistons have to be in there?
No.
Surprise.
Pistons are 18th. They are 21 and 23 in clutch games.
I want to say like maybe Houston.
The Rockets are 6th. They are 26 and 18 in clutch games.
The blueprint in my head that I have are good, not great teams. The teams that you aren't like.
Well, percentage. I'm going by percentage. Who has the best percentage, like winning percentage? So they could have played like 5 games. For what it's worth, though, every team in the NBA has played at least 24 clutch games, and the most is 36.
The Celtics?
They're 46.
Are they in
46.
there?
Yeah, the Celtics. Celtics are the best clutch team in the NBA. They have the
Oh,
best winning percentage in clutch
what a
games.
pleasant
They're
surprise.
they're 24-11 in clutch games this year, 68.6%. And spoiler alert, the next two, Cavs, Thunder. So it's just like the best teams are the best teams, even regardless of fourth quarter stats or whatever. The Celtics have been the best team in the clutch. They're shooting 37.8 or 37.9% from three in the clutch, 48, excuse me, 0.0% in the clutch. They've been good. They've been really good. They average the fifth most points in the clutch.
I said surprising, but I don't remember being I don't remember walking away from a
Exactly.
lot of close games and be like, God damn it, like they fucked that one. The only one is
There
the
were
Drew
some.
game, the Drew one against Atlanta when you're just like, come on, like
and the
that
Rockets
game
game,
was
if you really want to break it
sealed.
down, but like
Sure,
those games happen. Like that happens throughout the course of the season. It is what it is. But yeah, overall, solid regular season. I don't think there's too much to complain about. And then from there, it's just what can they do in the playoffs? But before we get into that, I need to tell you guys about Gametime, which is the best place for all your ticketing needs this baseball season, this basketball season as the playoffs get going. Let me pull up the Gametime website, gametime.co, so I can tell you exactly and show you exactly for the YouTube audience what you're going to get with Gametime. Let's take a look at Celtics playoffs, TBD. We know it's Sunday. We know it's going to be the 20th. So we can take a look here. 20th, correct? Yeah, 20th. This star right here that's highlighted says it's a super deal, 318 each, which that's what you get for the Celtics, but it shows the exact view or a similar view to where you're going to get. This is in the tunnel, so maybe not the exact view, but they did change the seating. So actually it might be, just that smart. The fire emblem up here tells you the cheapest seat in the building. Actually not a bad get-in price for a playoff game.
no, not
$100.
at all.
So you can see the cheapest here, and it shows you the exact view. That's my favorite feature, so you know exactly what you're going to see from where you are sitting. It shows you the venue here. It shows you even down to the little details of this is the home bench, this is the visitor bench, in case you want to be on that specific side of the floor. You can toggle on and off the feature to see fees during the purchasing process, so you don't get surprised with anything at the end of the process. It also comes with some awesome features like last minute deals. Save up to 60% by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. It's awesome for that. You get the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. On top of that, you get zone deals, save even more, when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats, so you can pick around where you want to go, and then Gametime will pick the seats for you, so you can save even more money that way. It's just so many ways to save with Gametime. Plus, you get to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's get into the playoffs that are starting right around the corner this Sunday for the Celtics. The play-in game is tonight. As you guys are listening to this, it's going to be Hawks versus Magic. The winner will go on to play the Celtics. I know there's been a bunch of talk of who would you rather play. Obviously, from a beat reporter standpoint, I want to know where I'm going to have to buy expensive flights to. That's besides the point. Hawks, Magic, Sam. I talked about it with Cam very briefly for the past couple pods. He put a poll out that I disagreed with. If you had to pick, if you're the Celtics and you got to pick, right? Like this whole thing of the number one seed, you get to choose their matchup. If you're the Celtics and you got to choose Hawks or Magic, who would you want to play in a playoff series?
I know how you feel about this already. So like this, I know I'm disagreeing with you, and it's good. It's good for content. I think Atlanta is my preferred team to play against in a playoff series. I don't think they are as not top heavy. Top heavy is not the right word. I think Orlando is a better built team at the top. I think Franz and Paolo are a really good 1-2 punch. I understand that the Orlando offense is not great, and you can go all into that because I know you are a heavy investor into that theory. I'm an investor into the Trae Young is a seal theory, where that guy is the pulse of their offense. He is a baby Luka in the way that he's used. He plays my career ball. And without him on the floor, not to say the Celtics didn't lose a game to the Hawks this year with no Trae Young, but that's neither here nor there. Things have to change for them. And if you're Joe Mazzulla and you're the Celtics, that is an easy target to try and abuse. He's not very strong. It's not like a Jalen Brunson type where you at least can get behind him and be like, well, that guy is physically able to defend. He is just a little short. Trae Young is built like me. I'm not going to be able to defend Jason Tatum. I'm not going to be able to defend Jalen. Trae Young could be a great baby food guy actually to get Jalen going. If they run Jalen post-ups or even Drew Holiday post-ups, you can just go, everyone that's not named Derek White, and even Derek could probably pick on him as a mismatch. But everybody that is on the Celtics in the starting lineup is physically imposing enough where they could bully Trae Young out of the game. And that would make me feel really great about a potential playoff matchup against them, because it doesn't feel like that's a sustainable way to try and defend the Celtics, is with Trae Young on the floor. And it's not a sustainable way to try and outscore the Celtics if he's not on the floor. So I just feel like there is no easy avenue for Atlanta to figure out that issue they've got with their best player just not being he's a cone. That's what he is. He's a cone.
100% get it. For what it's worth, I think the Celtics will destroy either of these teams in a playoff series. So I don't think it matters. I'm going to obviously go into a bunch of points, make a bunch of stats and do everything. The ultimate trump card I have on you. Corey Joseph is the Magic starting point guard.
That's it. That's a trump card.
Corey Joseph is their starting point guard. You want to talk about
Corey Joseph now is going to have like a 30 ball.
Listen. You can talk about built at the top all you want. Their starting point guard is Corey fucking Joseph in 2025. You want to talk about a cone? You want to talk about bully ball? Are you kidding me? Like
Corey Joseph, by the way, who I did not know was still in the league before the game in Orlando this week.
Exactly. We're talking about a lineup that is missing Mo Wagner and Jalen Suggs for the playoffs. Gone. Not going to play. Going to be out. For the second half of the season, I'm going to look at post-All-Star break Magic and tell you exactly who has played the most minutes on this team since the All-Star break. And obviously, they've had good stretches. Paolo and Franz are awesome players. They're so, so good. I'm not denying that. However, since the All-Star break, in minutes, Paolo, Franz Wagner, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Wendell Carter, Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, Corey Joseph. What is that lineup going to do against the Celtics?
It's a hawk.
KCP, fine, right? Good defender. Wendell Carter, he's cooked. You bring him up to the level, put him on Jason Tatum, get the switch, you're done. Anthony Black, maybe you can do something. Cole Anthony, all the points you just made about Trae Young apply to Cole Anthony. On top of that, last 6 years, 12 teams have averaged fewer than 106 points. Bingo. This Magic team did not average 106 points in the season. You know how crazy that is? You know how ass you have to be to not put up 106 points a night in today's NBA? There were 3 teams that did it this year. The Nets, the Hornets, and the Magic. The Nets were starting Reese Beekman for the last 10 games of the season. You know who that is? Me neither. You're muted, but I can see you shaking your head. I don't know who that is.
Would not pick him out of a lineup.
Do you know what I'm saying? The Hornets had to sign Jalen Sims for their final game of the season. Do you know who that is? I don't.
Is he related to
we're
Jericho?
talking about a historically ass offense in terms of the last recent NBA history, right? The Celtics average 115 plus points a night. And they're a great defense. And they have guys who are going to shut that. The Celtics have done phenomenal of saying, okay, we're going to shut these players down and make other guys beat you. If those other guys are, Corey Joseph and Anthony Black, I feel pretty good. My thing with the Hawks is, again, I don't think the Celtics will lose to the Hawks in a series, right? We've seen that the Hawks can win games just because Trae Young is Trae Young. Literally 2 years ago, we saw them win 2 games in the first round because Trae Young is Trae Young, right? They took 2 games off the Celtics in the first round because Trae Young went fucking nuclear. And I would argue this Hawks team is better than that Hawks team by a pretty wide margin. I argue this Hawks team doesn't have a John Collins cone. They have Jalen Johnson, I don't know if he's still hurt, but they have Dyson Daniels.
Hall of Fame.
Dyson Daniels, I would argue, defended Jason Tatum better than almost anybody in the NBA this season. He's fucking nasty. So if I'm Jason Tatum, I don't want to deal with that for a playoff series. I'd rather go up against Franz and Paolo, who are good defenders, but they're not Dyson Daniels, right? I just think the Hawks are a much better basketball team than this version of the Magic with no depth and no scoring and no shooting, right? I want you to guess this season the best 3-point shooter on the Magic in terms of percentage.
Is it KCP?
It's Caleb Houston. Shot 40%.
Who doesn't play.
He's played in 58 games, so he played a decent amount. Shot 40%.
How many minutes per game?
14.
Okay. Yeah, he plays a fair amount then.
Of players who played at least 20 minutes, best 3-point shooter. Go. You just guessed it. Just rip it again.
KCP.
What'd he shoot? from 3.
37%.
34.
Really?
They can't score. They can't shoot the ball. They're bad. Like
Yeah.
listen, I like I said, I think the Celtics would beat the Hawks in a series. I think they'll beat the Magic in a series. I think they should be fine regardless. They're that good. This Magic team is not it. I think they have the makings of being good, right? Jalen Suggs gets healthy, Mo Wagner gets healthy, they get a little bit better shooting, they get some more depth around Paolo and Franz. Great. That is not where they're at right now. So that's why I'd go with the Magic. Plus, like I said, like you never know with Trey. He can just have a berserk playoff series. The Magic don't have any guys like that. So that's sort of where I lean.
The numbers are absolutely in your favor, especially offensively. Orlando's a bottom 4 offensive rating since the All-Star break. 108.9 since the All-Star break. They are in the company of the Brooklyn Nets, Charlotte Hornets, Washington Wizards, and just below the Toronto Raptors. Effective field goal percentage-wise, the Orlando Magic are 29th in the NBA, sandwiched below the Washington Wizards and above the Charlotte Hornets, who are 2 bottom-of-the-barrel butt-ass teams. A combined 37 wins between them. They have not been very good. Now, Atlanta is 17th in effective field goal percentage since the break. They are also 17th in offensive rating since the break. So though they are a team that leans on their offense, they are nowhere near elite. They are in the bottom half of the NBA since the break. They are 18th in defensive rating too, so they are not very good there. Orlando is a very good defensive team since the break. 109.1, only behind OKC for defensive rating. If you're into that stuff, it's good. And in a playoff series, if I could pick anything, well, let's not say I would take Orlando's splits where you are a elite defense and butt-ass offense. I would not. But I do think in the playoffs, defense is the thing that is most in your control. You're able to control your effort levels, control your focus as much as you can. Sometimes you can't control if shots go in. And if you're cold, you still need to try and defend and work really hard to be elite on that side of the floor. It doesn't mean that you can't go cold defensively. I know there was that whole Celtics arc that we had to deal with this year where that was a big talking point from Missoula. Noah asked a question about it and it got a great response. And there is truth to it. But I think in the controlled variables part, defense feels like it is more controllable. So I feel like it's almost more likely that elite defense will translate than anything. But again, like this is not, oh man, if they draw Orlando, they're fucked. Because they're not. The Celtics have lost to the Magic a good amount over the last couple of years, but at the same time, like it's not that same team. You mentioned it, no Jalen Suggs, who is a big part of what they are great at. Mo Wagner is a pain in the ass, top 10 irritant. He's elite at that. He won't be playing. Also with Orlando, Porzingis. That dude steps on the hardwood in Florida, something happens to his legs. I don't know what it is. He got hurt in Miami twice last year, and the other time he got hurt was in Orlando. I don't know why he cannot play basketball in that state.
Humidity.
Yeah, just too sweaty. Just gets dehydrated. As silly as it is something to like just pay attention to. That would suck to lose him in the first round again. But let's not pretend Atlanta is much further north. They're pretty close to each other. So this should be an okay result, okay draw, regardless of who it is. Both teams have different things they're good at. Trae Young is probably the best player out of the two teams. Maybe the best.
Yeah.
Like
right now.
Like his best skill is the best out of everybody. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like his ability to run an offense is better than anything that Franz or Paolo brings to the table for Orlando. Even if you feel like Paolo is a more well-rounded star, which I would agree he is. I think I would pick him to lead a team over Trae Young, but there's that part of it. It's going to be fun to watch the play-in tomorrow. I'm excited for it. Any other thoughts? Any other stats you have in the back pocket?
Not really.
I mean,
there's all like the Magic's defense has been good, but they've played like the Raptors twice. They've played the shitty Spurs. I'm gonna go back to they scored 96 points against Torrey Craig and Baylor Shireman.
I mean, it's a good point. It is very good
game
point.
They really needed to win. Like they really wanted to win that game. They tried their hardest.
I think that should have been your trump card, not Corey Joseph.
Corey Joseph's a pretty good trump card too.
Jack's
listen,
just got like pocket aces over there.
No, it doesn't like it truly shouldn't matter. I think they're both fine, like whatever teams in terms of competing with the Celtics. I just think the Hawks have a better chance to take a game or take 2 games because of Trae Young. And so I'd rather. Then again, like the Magic could beat them up a little bit. They're a physical team, but you also don't have Mo Wagner, so maybe it's not quite as annoying. But
I think there's a big need. Let's not call it a need. We can call it like it's on like your Christmas wish list, but it's not it's like one of the things maybe you'll get. It would be nice not to play a lot of games in the first round. With this Jalen knee injury, I would like Jalen to play the least amount of basketball possible until he has to. You don't need to play 6 games against either of these teams. If you do, I'm going to be upset. Be honest. I'll be a little pissed. Don't do that to me, please. I would not appreciate it. It's too early. I don't really want to have to break the heart monitor out in the first round this year. Maybe I will. Don't know what the plan is with that. Will I have to spike? I hope not. Better not. Game 2 of the first round last year was the first year we hit disaster mode on the fucking heart monitor. Miami comes to the Garden and wins. I was like, it's happening again.
It's all right. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Just take a beat. But let's check out your emails. Reminders always, you guys can email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. We have a few to catch up on, so let's get into it. RJ says, congrats on the name check. Thank you. Wow, we haven't checked our email in a while.
Speaking of the Magic.
Yes, he did. Shout out Drew Carter. Dropped my name on the broadcast because I wrote a Craig article. Craig Lucianat, assistant coach. Go read it if you'd like to. I thanked him when we got back to Boston, so it was cool. Thank you, Drew.
Did you get a lot of messages like I predicted?
Yeah.
I texted Jack me. I was like, everyone's gonna start texting you right now.
I got like Sam, Bobby K, Bobby M, Zoe from We Got Ice, everybody, like, group chat. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, what happened? Like, is everything okay?
Well, I knew you weren't watching the game. I was like, he has no
there.
idea what just happened.
No. But thank you, RJ. Next email, Carter Credit, Joe Abbey. Hey folks, with the season wrapping, I just wanted to talk about how awesome Drew Carter has been in his first full year. He's gotten scouted to play ball, and they have tons of chemistry as a Gen Z Gen X combo. The memes and references he throws in per game, I hope he stays our voice for decades, a la Gorman. I don't know if that's Gavin. He might get poached for national. He's also shout out the first to floor guys in the broadcast in the past and against the Magic. Can't remember exactly where he shout out Jack specifically by name for writing a feature. So sick to see all the fellas I listen to get credit, albeit in a sickos only broadcast, missing the top 6 in mid-April with seating locked up. True. I think Corrales got a shout out too. Keep it rolling, guys. And since it's been a while, here's some slander.
Yes.
Phoenix is awful. Bradley Beal's an absolute bum. I'm not surprised if the people of Phoenix file a collective lawsuit for burglarizing the Suns. Is it their fault, though, if Ishbia didn't snort an entire mountain of happy juice and gutted the team for Beal? Maybe they wouldn't have missed the play-in. I genuinely feel bad for Booker and KD for once because they genuinely are ballers, and this is an affront to the NBA. Crazy how this will get overshadowed by the Luka Lakers drama, but this was a disaster. Thanks, fellas. Hope the playoffs go well. Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Listen, man. This is the classic Tobias Harris case. Bradley Beal is not a bad basketball player. He is just overpaid. He's like actually been a really good basketball player for the last 2 seasons. He's just a really bad fit on that team and makes too much money. He shot 38.6% from 3 and 49.7% from the field this year. He shot 40% from 3 since going to Phoenix. Like, he's a good basketball player. He's just paid $60 million.
Well, there's also a part of this too that's like he's miserable. And they're miserable, and there's a rift.
It's bad culture, bad team culture.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's real. Like, there's no getting around it. It's just that plays a factor into this, too. And it happened in Philly with Tobias Harris. Like, that was soured by the end of it, and he goes back to Detroit. He's appropriately paid. He contributes at the level that he is making money, and everyone's happy. Everyone's like, holy shit, Pistons turned everything around with Tobias Harris joining the team. Like, yeah, they do have a purpose. I'd be curious to see where he's going to, like, what's his next move? Are they going to stretch his contract? Would they bother doing that? Is it worth it to them to get off of it? It could happen. It's so sour there. I don't see a situation unless you're just going to commit to being bad that you bring him back. I would not want to.
Unless you literally can't trade him.
Well, you literally can't trade him. But, like, if there's an avenue to get off of it some way, Maybe.
what if it just completely kills you financially? Like if like I don't know the math, but if doing that is just gonna fuck you for 5 years, like you just wait the 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It's just hard. Maybe the Sixers trade Paul George for Bradley Beal. Figure it out there. But I don't know. They're a mess. Suns are obviously a mess. Last email, I believe we have one more from RJ Philip. Signals of what is to come. Fellas, it will be a slow Celtics news week, and this always has me thinking ahead. I was a little surprised by the JD contract, but I trust in Brad. Do you think this is a signal that Drew will be let go at the end of the season? If not, it seems shocking to pay tax on the JD contract when there are more important rotation players we haven't re-signed. Alan Cornett. In other words, it seems JD will increase his minutes. I may be reaching, but what do you think? I'm also surprised in these unimportant games that Tillman gets so few minutes. I know it's been so rough for him, but do you think this is a signal that they plan to attach a pick and dump him in the offseason, essentially swapping JD for Tillman money? Best Phil. First, JD, second year of his contract is a team option, so no guaranteed. Can get rid of him whenever they want, so it's not a big deal for next year. Also, you have to fill those roster spots anyways with minimum contracts, and so they were going to have to sign some people, so they might as well take a look at JD and see what that turns into since it's a non-guarantee. I don't think this definitely means Drew's gone. I think Drew or KP will probably be gone anyways, just because of the tax things. But this could be a way to say, okay, let's see if we like him as depth and maybe keep him around. As far as Tillman, he's just bad. Maybe he's hurt. Probably he's hurt. He doesn't move right. Something's wrong. I don't know if that means they're going to dump him. He seems like a great locker room guy. Like the team seems to love him. He seems to love the team. I know he talked to Noah about like he's basically an extra coach on the bench, telling everyone who he sees. So maybe they make him a fucking coach at this point. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. But I don't know if they'll have to dump him because I don't think he's guaranteed next year. Actually, I think he is guaranteed.
I think we talked about this before. I think he is.
But it's also just a minimum contract. So at that point, you're getting into the what doesn't matter segment.
I think there is more of a possibility for the second thing you said than the first. Like, does it mean that both Porzingis and Drew are going to survive the summer? No. But I think the Davison thing allows you more flexibility in the Tillman avenue than that. I think if you lose one of those guys, it's going to be tough to replace him. And I don't think Davison is the answer. You shared this yesterday. I shared it off of your share. The Celtics have 2 picks in this draft. It's going to be 28 and 32. Those are 2 really big opportunities to hit on some probably physically developed guys that spent a lot of years at college, and somebody that you might be able to put some stock into and develop, or maybe more of a Shireman type that can spot help you on his first year just because, again, they're physically developed enough to play against adult men in the NBA. Doesn't always happen straight out of the draft. So I would look at that first. I think the draft pick is going to be more substantial in that avenue than JD is, but I'm not certain.
Yeah. And context, right? Like this 2024 draft was very bad. Like it was just a bad draft class. And from 28 and onwards, Ryan Dunn, Isaiah Collier, Baylor Shireman, Kyle Filipowski's been good. AJ Mitchell's been great for the Thunder. Oso Ighodara's been good for the Suns. Jamal Shedd's been good for the Raptors. Quentin Post has been great for the Warriors. And then you get into the undrafted guys. Like there are plenty of players. Jalen Wells was a second round pick. Like there's you can hit. You can hit with these picks. And these are going to be very important for the Celtics for fixing the cap and stuff like that. But before we get to the NBA, for those of you listening, subscribe. This is your little intro. Just subscribe to this show. Leave a like, review on podcast platforms. On top of that, go over CLNS, Celtics All Access channel. They got all the shows there. You got Boston with Noah Dalzell. They've got Celtics Lab. They've got everything, right? They've got everything you could possibly want from a show. They got Cedric Maxwell show. They've got the Garden Report after every game. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel as well. You can find all those shows. We're part of the CLNS Media Network. We don't post our shows there, but we post our shows here, and you should check out all the stuff there. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics as well while you're there. Turn the notification bell on, too. If you don't have the notification bell on, make sure to check that out. And click it. It's really easy. You just click, and then you get to know whenever we post something. But regardless, let's now check out the NBA section. Check out the standings because we finally know exactly who is going to play what. So instead of the NBA standings check-in, let's do NBA playoff picture. Let's see if we can find a good bracket online so we can take a look at that. I hate this bracket from Bleacher Report. Jesus, but I'll show. Look at this. I think this is so ugly. Look at this. Hold up. Ready? Sorry, Bleacher Report. I'm sharing screen here. I do not like this, the way they have laid this out. I think it looks so stupid. But we're gonna use it anyways because I don't feel like finding a new one. So the playoffs.
You like the gradient in the background? What don't you like about this?
I don't like that
specifically.
I don't like that the first round is like on the inside. Like it feels like to me it should be 2K where the finals are on the inside. But I guess since there's only one round, it doesn't matter. It just looks wrong that everything is just, like,
I didn't even think of
sandwiched in the
that.
middle. It just looks awkward. Regardless, playoff matchups. Thunder 1 seed, Rockets 2 seed. Shout out the Rockets. We haven't talked about them a lot, but crazy season. Cavs 1 seed, Celtics 2 seed. Play-in tournament. Warriors, Grizzlies in the 7-8. Kings, Mavs in the 9-10. East, Bulls, Heat in the 9-10. Magic, Hawks in the 7-8. Let's talk about the solidified matchups first, though. Where do you want to start, Sam? Which one of these 4 matchups would you like to start with? I'm trying to get rid of the guy talking on our screen so we can
Worldwide Wob. He's the man.
Shout out Wob, but I don't want him on the screen. Where do you want to start?
Let's start. Let's do the West first. I think the East will have more substantial things to say, so we can go out West.
Okay.
Clippers earned the 5th seed to play Denver by beating the Warriors yesterday, and what was an incredible game. Overtime game.
Great game.
Had really good execution from the Warriors down the stretch. Steph went berserk in the 4th quarter. He had 18 points or something crazy like that. He wasn't missing any shots. It was a really fun watch. Great way to end the season. Me and the boys were watching from the Airbnb. Warriors fall into the plane, which kind of sucks. But you'll get Clippers, Nuggets. I was rooting probably against the Clippers in that game. I really wanted to see them fall into the 7-8 game. Maybe they could win the first round, play the Lakers in the second round. I'm not going to get my LAL matchup. It's terrible. Disaster. This should be a very interesting first round matchup because you've got Jokic. Zubats, who has been playing incredible ball, will be on the other side of him. Not to say he's this all-world defender, but he's a really high-impact guy. He's been really effective for the Clippers this year. You've also had like a resurgence of the OGs, Kawhi and Harden playing really good ball. Kawhi played, 47 minutes against the Warriors yesterday in a big game. He seems physically ready to compete at a high level again. I wonder if the Clippers almost have more depth than the Nuggets do at this point. The Nuggets' depth seems to be very hit or miss. It's the reason why they're at where they're at. They also have a brand new head coach, while the Clippers staff, by the way, made up a lot of ex-Celtics guys. Kind of rocks. Ty Lue, Jay Larinaga, Brian Shaw, who played here. Who else did I see over there? I'm blanking. There was
Clippers?
Van Gundy. Van Gundy was there, and there was somebody else too, but I forget who it was. Shame on me. But Van Gundy, the dog on the Clippers staff, love him. Should be a really fun series. I think I'm rooting for the Clippers here. Don't know this. I mean, listen, you get me more games of Steve Ballmer courtside for a big matchup, maybe leading the wall. I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them go deep. I like Jokic. I don't think anybody's going to come on a podcast and be like, I actually fucking hate Jokic, hate watching him play, plays the wrong way. Like, no. I think that's almost what makes this an interesting matchup. The Clippers feel like they have more firepower than Denver does. Not to say Denver doesn't have quality players. And Murray, MPJ is hit or miss. Aaron Gordon has been pretty decent since he came back from injury. I don't know. I think I like the Clippers here. I don't know how many games are going to go. Are we going to do Are we going to do games for each series? Are we going to do predictions?
Are you picking the Clippers or saying you want the Clippers?
I think I'm just saying I want the Clippers.
Who do you think's going to win?
I think it's maybe still the Clippers.
Okay. I forget who it was, but I saw someone on Twitter predict the Clippers making the finals, which is kind of wild to me.
Get behind that.
But I mean, I'm rooting for the Clippers. I think
the Clippers have had the third best defense since the All-Star break.
I think it'd be more interesting. I think Kawhi is as healthy as he's been in a little bit. So I think it'd be more interesting if the Clippers won. I think the Nuggets will probably win. I just think Jokic is Jokic, and I don't want to pick against him in a playoff series. Then again, they lost last year, so who actually knows? But I think I'd root for the Clippers, but pick the Nuggets. Lakers, Timberwolves is the 3-6. I think I'm just going to pick the Lakers. I think they're the better team. The Timberwolves have been hotter lately. I think Randall has started to really gel with them, and Anthony Edwards has been playing well. I'm going to take LeBron and Luka in a playoff series, though. I feel like I'd be overthinking otherwise.
So I saw a tweet. I think it was before I went to sleep yesterday. That was not even trolling. I think I'd start out with Julius guarding Luka, and then somebody just quote tweeted with a picture of Luka holding
I
up the
saw.
73 points,
Yep.
and it has like 37,000 likes. And I really just don't think Minnesota necessarily has the steel armor that they need to defend this Lakers team with two
Well,
high level guys like LeBron and Luka. Like they
I would
have
argue.
good defenders. They do.
Okay.
But I don't think they are a team without a weak point. Like Rudy is going to have to be out there. He's going to have to defend the perimeter. Ant is a good defender. Jaden McDaniels is a good defender. Julius Randle is not that great of a defender. Like there's just multiple ways that they can try and abuse
Who's not
this
that great of a
Timberwolves
defender?
team. Julius Randle, he's fine.
I thought you said Jaden McDaniels. I'm like,
No, Jaden
what?
McDaniels is a great defender.
I was gonna say what?
No,
Okay.
no. I think the Lakers are also going to be a team that wants to play small, and that's going to make things difficult for Minnesota to keep Rudy out there and consistent, unless they want to turn it into an advantage. I never know how that's ever going to go. Like, what does it take for a team to go small and automatically be an advantage versus a team keeping the big guy up and having the size advantage? Like, what swings that? Is it the the difference
Rudy
of
can't
Rudy
guard
being
smalls.
Rudy can't guard smalls, and he's not really somebody you want to give the ball to on offense, maybe.
Yeah. Like, listen, I think there's a bit. I think we've gotten a little bit too obsessed with the team has a weak point narrative in a certain series. There's only two teams in the NBA that don't have weak points. It's the Celtics and the Thunder. Every other
This
team
is very
has a
true.
weak point. And so if you look at a team with two teams that have weak, like we're talking about the Thunder have too many, or the Timberwolves have too many weak points. The Lakers have so many fucking weak points. Luka
Yes,
can't
they do.
defend. Reeves can't defend. Right? Like
Luke
they
was like
don't
2
have.
weak points by himself.
I know LeBron can't defend the perimeter as well as the saves. Like he's fine, but he's
I
not.
think
He's not keeping up.
tries can do it.
He's not keeping up with Ant. He won't. He can't. He's
Maybe
not
for
quick
a
enough.
game.
But what's that going to do in a 7-game? Listen, I still think it's the Lakers. I take the offense. I take Luka cooking Gobert in a series again. But I don't know. I think it could be close. I think there's a chance that the Timberwolves, play good enough defense. But the thing for me for them is they don't have enough consistent offensive firepower, right? Like if all it takes is a couple bad Julius Randle games and they're Ant and no one else, right? So we'll see what happens in the playoffs. DiVincenzo has another big step up playoffs. Maybe they play really well. If they have other guys who step up, they'll be fine. But I'll take the Lakers because they have more consistent offensive production, in my opinion. Okay. East, Pacers, Bucks. Fun.
Pacers.
Very fun. Get
Fun.
it again. I'm going Pacers. The Bucks are starting Ryan Rollins at point guard and Kyle Kuzma at power forward. I think that and Torian Prince at shooting guard.
What if
So
James
I
comes
don't.
back?
He's not. He will not be coming back. I don't think the Bucks have enough. And listen, Giannis is going to be the best player in the series. He's the best player in the Eastern Conference. He's a top 3 player in the NBA. They don't have the rest, in my opinion.
The Bucks are a more extreme version of the Nuggets who have played Jenga with their championship roster. They have eviscerated the championship roster that they had in Milwaukee. Brook Lopez, sadly, is just naturally eviscerated. Like he's just gotten older and he's not quite as impactful, which sucks. I actually like Brook Lopez. Giannis still effective. Dame probably not. Well, he's not going to play, but even when he does play, doesn't like really strike super fear into your hearts. Kuzma's not anywhere near what Middleton used to be. They just don't have the same guys in there. The logo is not what it used to mean. The Pacers, on the other hand, are kind of on the up and up. Like they were the best team in the playoffs last year. It felt like they put together a quietly impressive season after being a little slow out the gates with Halliburton really struggling at first. They've come and hit their stride. They'll probably win this series. They could even serve a problem to Cleveland in the second round a little bit. I don't know how many games I think they're going to win it in, but it is fun that we get another chapter of this rivalry after last year and them meeting in the playoffs and all the other things that went along with that. I'll be excited to watch it. I'll be rooting against Milwaukee. I think the Pacers have good fans. I think they deserve a playoff series win. I just genuinely think the Pacers will win too and probably have a better coach.
I agree. I think the Pacers are just going to win the series. Knicks Pistons,
Yes.
3-6. I'm probably going to go with the Knicks. I just think they have more consistent offense. I think Cade, might be the best player in the series.
Oh, I was going to say it.
Sorry.
Damn it.
I just don't.
Cade's the best player in the series.
He might be. I just don't think they have the rest to go along with it. Like I think the Knicks' depth is way better. And again, like you can talk about, they have this weak point. the Pistons also have weak points. Like they
Oh, yeah,
also have the same
sure.
thing. It is just not the same with the Celtics and the Thunder. I think the Knicks have better shooting. I think they have better all around defenders. I don't think the Pistons are as well equipped to attack Towns and Brunson consistently. I just think the Knicks have a better overall roster, and the Pistons are the classic young team, first time in the playoffs. I don't know how much they're going to do a squad. But that said, is it impossible that they win the series? No.
I can't wait. I'm just sitting here thinking of this is the ultimate Sam series with no Celtics. I have probably the Eastern Conference team I hate the most against the only other team in the NBA that I support that is not the Celtics. The ultimate rooting interest for me is right in front of all of us. I think the Pistons have a legitimate chance to win this series. I'm going to pick them. I would never turn my back on the fellas. I also fucking hate the Knicks. There is a legitimate feel I have that I think the Pistons part of this is valid, where it's their first playoffs. It's Cade's first time in the playoffs. You're going to have to wait and see what you get with that. I do think there's some I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. played in the finals last year. He was not a big part of what they did in Dallas. We can't pretend like he was. Malik Beasley has playoff experience. Tobias Harris has playoff experience. There are pieces on this team that have been there before. It's not perfect. The most important pieces on this team have not been there before, mind you. However, there's part of me that truly feels the Knicks may be a lights too bright team, and I'm here for it. 0-10 against the top teams in the NBA, 1-3 against the Pistons this year in the regular season. By the way, the game the other day that they lost was a game they were legitimately trying to win because there was a chance that Indiana may catch them for that 3 seed. And the Pistons beat them. They came back to win. Pistons won both games at MSG this year. Pistons might have a chance. I think Celtics Pistons in round 2 both, mind you, both potential series in round 2 are going to be fun.
Yeah.
But you get the old rivalry back. I think the Pistons have a real shot to win this. I think the Knicks are a deep team. I think they have a lot of good players on the team. Cat's been really good this year. Jalen Brunson is, of course, a borderline MVP level player when he's healthy because of how large of a load he carries for the Knicks team. And they have really good defenders on this team, too. They're probably deeper than the Pistons, sadly. I'm rolling with the boys in Detroit. I have nothing else to say.
I think there's a chance the Pistons can win. I don't know. I'm going to take the talent of the Knicks. Like, even looking at last year, and it's a very different team now, I think maybe worst built for the playoffs because of Cat's inconsistencies and how good Hartenstein is. That team was on course for an Eastern Conference Finals berth last year before they got hurt and they got blitzed by the Pacers. And I'm not saying they definitely should have or could have or whatever. They were a game away. So I'll take the Knicks. We can go through the play-in rapidly. I think Warriors and Grizzlies both get in.
Yes.
I think low-key, I think whoever loses to the Magic Hawks game will lose to whichever
Chicago.
9-10. I don't know. Well, maybe the Heat. I think the Heat could very well win that series too because they've actually been playing pretty better, a lot better ball lately. And honestly, I think if the Magic and Hawks weren't the 7-8, neither would get in. Like I think the Bulls and the Heat, based on how they've been playing recently, would get into the playoffs. That's obviously not possible. So I think whoever wins the 7-8 will make it, and whoever loses will not make the playoffs. So if I had to pick, I'm gonna say I think the Heat win the play-in game, and I think the Hawks beat the Magic, and then the Magic are not in the playoffs. So I think it'll be Hawks in 7 and Heat in 8. If I had to guess, but I think it could be coin flips all around.
Yeah. I agree with you in the West for sure. I mean, I just think 7-8 is going to get
I think
in.
Kings have a chance, but I just think Grizzlies are better.
I just think the 9-10 game this year is a fucking joke. Both those teams are far worse than the others. Now, you could say, Sam, what about all of the play-in teams in the East? I would say, yeah, they're all a joke. They suck. With that being said, I kind of agree with you. I think the loser of 7-8 is gone. It just feels like both of those teams in the 9-10 game have been trending up while the other two have been trending down. And that might just be enough to carry them momentum-wise into the playoffs. I think it might be Chicago. Miami finished the season stronger than Chicago did, but Chicago did have that super hot stretch. Kobe White won Player of the Month in March. Like, there's a little bit going on there. They're a little bit more fun now that they don't have Zach LaVine, right? Bulls fans have to be in hell, though. like they're like, fuck, we might make the playoffs again and not have any chance of competing instead of getting in the lottery.
Yep. Not fun. Not fun for them, at least. I think Thunder Cavs both win their first round playoff series no matter what. I think the Celtics are going to win their first round playoff series. We've talked about that. I think the Warriors beat the Rockets in round one.
Yeah, me too. And Adam Silver just like looks out his New York City office window, like down on the city, and it's just like, I've done it again. Lakers, Warriors, round two, Steph, LeBron. The ratings are back. I don't know. Ime does have experience in this sort of matchup, though, where it's, hey, we're the second seed, and the team coming in is this team with a lot of talent on there. The problem and the difference in this situation compared to what Celtics Nets was in 2022 is that the Warriors aren't a dumpster fire and they're trending in the right direction.
The Warriors are playing good basketball.
Yes. And they don't have like two guys that are kind of bonkers at the top of the team just doing whatever they want. They might surprise you. Like they did finish above like the Wild West pack out there, like where they solidified their playoff spot before anybody else. Like they had a good season. They have good depth. They have good players, but
good coach.
Golden State has great players. They have the star power. They have the experience. Like you could make a great argument for either side. I think that's going to be a sweat for both fan bases. It'd be a real shame if the Warriors actually lost the 7-8 game, or maybe it wouldn't. What if they beat the Thunder? Just start talking myself into that.
I think the Grizzlies could beat the Rockets in a playoff series too. I don't know.
It's been real bad against good teams this year, though.
Maybe especially we're underrating the Rockets. I think it's way more likely the Warriors keep doing the Grizzlies, but I don't think it's impossible for the Grizzlies.
I'd like to apologize to Rockets fans that are just putting up with this, by the way. Because, like, everybody's just like, Rockets might lose in the first round.
I know. It's just the classic inexperienced team hasn't made the playoffs yet. I don't know how they're going to do, so we'll see. Anyways, sorry, Rockets fans. Not that any of you are listening to this. Let's jump over to the rest of the NBA. Mike Budenholzer fired. Shocker.
See you later.
David Griffin fired. A little bit less shocker,
That's
but
a weird
kind of makes sense. Joe Dumars looks like he's going to take over as the top
leaving the NBA.
I don't know what is there is to discuss. Willie Green might get canned too in New Orleans, and if so, he might become the new Suns coach. Mike Budenholzer getting fired was the freest, most obvious thing ever. Like, was always going to get fired. They're going to have their fourth coach in 4 years now. Crazy mess of franchise. David Griffin getting fired makes a little sense too. I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong, but at a certain point, when you build out a certain thing and it doesn't come to fruition, maybe you just need new thoughts, new leadership, a new vision there. Because, like, not that his vision was wrong, it just got derailed. So maybe it's just time for
get a fresh. That's what I was going to say. I mean,
it's not his fault.
Pelicans just got all the injuries. Everybody got hurt. They actually, like, going into the season, I don't know what our predictions were. The Pelicans had to be a thought competitive team. Like, on paper, we're like, watch out for the Pelicans this year.
But it's not like they did anything before that either. Like, it's not like in past years they were this top 4 team in the West actually competing. They've always been a play-in like team.
I suppose like the Dyson Daniels wrinkle of this doesn't help the case either, where it's like you got rid of that guy. Like, all of a sudden he's a dog in Atlanta, and he's in these all defense conversations, and he's averaging a ton of steals and impacting the game, where it just feels like he gave up on him a little too soon.
I mean,
but
if you really want to like get into it, I'm not saying like, obviously right now we could look at it and say, oh, okay, they got out of that Lonzo thing, thank God. Like, who's to say what the injuries is? Like, he's a good player. Josh Hart was also on the Pelicans. Let him go. Like, he's a pretty damn good player now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is the Nico graphic of like Porzingis, Luka, Jalen Brunson.
I mean, they got, look at the Brandon Ingram situation. They got Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown in a first for Brandon Ingram. That sucks.
That's in Massachusetts.
That's an L.
Kelly's adopted.
Yeah, man. I'm not saying David Griffin was bad, but he certainly wasn't perfect. And when you're as bad and unsuccessful as the Pelicans are for so long, sometimes you need to refresh.
I think the refresh is really the driving force behind this. Like, I don't think he did a bad job. It just is like, man, the injuries caught up to them and they got. The Budenholzer thing, the dude would have been unemployed so much. He would not have gotten this far if Durant's foot was never on the line in 2021. Like, I always say that, and it's true. He's been terrible. He's been the reason why. Well, the Phoenix thing is a disaster, but in Milwaukee, like, they lose to the Celtics in 2022 because he decides to commit like all in to leaving Grant Williams wide open, and it doesn't work. They lose in the first round the year after, which is a disaster. And then he's not there anymore. Now he's on Phoenix. Phoenix is a dumpster fire too. Yes, the locker room was a mess. Yes, the personalities clash. But I think the coach has some responsibility there to try and keep everybody committed. And a good coach can really move mountains when it comes to that. If you get somebody that gets the players to buy in, you could turn everything around. And that's probably what they're trying to tell themselves in Phoenix too. Just good luck with that.
Yeah, they're cooked. Last NBA thing for the Red List. The 76ers are apparently all going to come back. This makes sense, right? Like,
Makes sense.
Daryl Morey was like, yeah, everyone's coming back. Like Maxey, Nick Nurse, I believe. I don't know if Paul George is part of that. I think Paul George also going to be back. I know Paul George was bad this year. You can't give up 1 year into that after the history Paul George has of being a all-star player. Like, I'm not saying he's getting back to being an all-star, but the chances of him being this bad again next year versus the chances of him being a competent player again, I would bet on him being a fine player again. Shit happens. It is what it is. It also didn't help that no one was healthy. I don't know what Embiid's health means for the future. I don't know what that means. I also don't think you should fire Nick Nurse because of X amount of years of dog shit health and nothingness. You have Jared McCain coming back. Tyrese Maxey's an incredible player. Quentin Grimes has emerged as like an all-time, like a really, really, really fucking good role player. Draft pick, you're gonna have a top 5 pick, top 10 pick at the very least. I think the worst it could fall is 8, and then maybe you lose it. But you're hoping that stays in to where you could get a solid player. You run out a lineup of Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Paul George, Joel Embiid, and then like an Ace Bailey or Trey Johnson, and then whatever role players you have. You're looking okay. So I don't think this is the time to panic if you're the Sixers. They read like the Grizzlies of last year, except with better foundational building blocks of success.
There's also a layer to this where it's just not logical to blow it up right now because you're selling at a low point on everybody. Paul George, if you try and trade him, everyone's like, well, fuck, I don't want that contract. Embiid, same thing. Oh, man, I don't really want that contract. Guy doesn't play. So if you're going to give up on the Sixers team that you have in front of you, you have to at least give them a chance to increase their trade value, even if your ultimate goal isn't based on, oh, I really believe in these guys. It's more of, I just need to get more for them. That's what it boils down to for me. Not to say that running it back doesn't make sense from a basketball standpoint, because they are just going to have a healthy roster and they're going to have probably more help through the draft this year. Like Jack said, that's a pretty decent roster, competitive roster. This low-key was probably a very good scenario for them this year, because I don't think anybody believed they would beat the Celtics. And with Cleveland's emergence, I just think there are too many teams that would be better than them, even if they were healthy. So that's just the bottom line for that one.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Rat List, Sam, what do you got for me?
Rat List is this is going to sound mean. The way people talk in Texas is, do you know what I'm talking about, first and foremost?
Southern accent?
Not the accent. So people here talk really slow. I got to the airport on Saturday afternoon, and I went up to the information desk because when I flew into LA, they make you take a shuttle to like a parking lot where you can then order an Uber. And I was like, okay, let me see if there's any special protocol for ordering an Uber in Austin, just in case. I don't want to order it and then not be in the right place to get picked up, which there actually was. You have to walk somewhere. When I asked the man, I went up and I asked him, I said, hey, is there any special protocol for Ubers here? Like, do we need to go somewhere else? And this man was talking to me really slow, and he was just explaining the thing the way he naturally would. But to me, being from where we're from and the way all of our people talk up in the Northeast, we all talk real fast and we're all very to the point. We're very fast paced. And I was like, is this guy like talking to me like I'm an idiot on purpose? He was like, all right, so you're going to go across the street. And like, there are signs, by the way, that say, walk this way for this. And he's like, you're going to go in there. You're going to take a right. There's going to be an elevator. You go up to the second floor, and then you're going to see red, yellow, and blue lanes that are numbered, and the Uber will be sent to one of those. So you use the red, yellow, and blue with the number to figure out where you pick up your, like, very like, he answered my question just by being like, yes. Like, the answer I was looking for is yes, go here. That's all I needed. And he was like, I was like trying to get out of the conversation. He just kept going. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know I don't want to be rude to this guy, but I understand.
Was this like a common theme in Texas? Like, did everyone else talk slow too, or was this just the guy gave you 2 thorough directions?
Well, he did give me 2 thorough directions, but I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong in the comments, correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's like a thing where people in the South are just more easygoing, where
Yeah.
like they aren't like really at a fast pace as much. So things take a little longer. Like we went to a mini golf place yesterday, and the guy who was giving us the stat sheets in a like a coin token to get our golf balls from like a gumball machine.
The stat sheets, the scorecard.
Well, whatever they are. You know what I meant. It's the point was made. But anyways, my friends picked up that he was kind of talking like slow. They were like, "Get on with it, buddy." So I think it's just like a common thing that people
I
in the
see.
South don't necessarily talk at the same pace as we do. And I was like offended at first. I was like, "Does he think I'm fucking stupid because I asked him a question?"
I see. I don't know. This isn't really Rattler. It's just more an interesting thing. Victor Wembanyama led the league in blocks per game, but he also led the league in total blocks. Even though he only played 46 games, and I just thought that was kind of ridiculous. And it wasn't close. Like he had 176 blocks on the season. Brook Lopez, who played in 80 games, was second at 148. So he just fucking murdered everyone. My real rat list is, so these people are trying to like come to our house, like this realtor's messaging us like, oh, let's do it. And like, I get it, sure.
You have to show the apartment, right?
Yeah. 5:30 was the time they were supposed to come today, and then they canceled on us today and said, oh, we're gonna move it, which is like whatever, right? Annoying, but fine. They're like, what about Wednesday at 1? And we're all like, so the middle of the fucking workday? No, we're not gonna be home. Are you? What do you mean? I have Celtics practice. They all work. Like, we're like, no, that doesn't work. And he goes, okay, what about 2 or 3? We're like, are you stupid?
Doesn't make much of a difference there, buddy.
What's up? Like, what are you doing, pal? Like, have some context here. So, that's not been the most free flowing thing. It's been kind of irritating.
Rat list is the train. So my friends and I had booked an Amtrak to go from Providence to Boston to get our flight on Saturday. The reason why we did this is because if we took the commuter rail, it left us with the opportunity to be a little bit tight on time. Not to say that I am an airport early person, but I did understand. One of my friends was like, we probably start boarding around 12:30, probably get to Logan at 11:30. If security is really busy, could feel a little bit rushed. I was like, yeah, I get it. Okay. So we get to the Providence train station at like 8:45 probably for a 9:15 departure to get there for like 10 a.m. to South Station.
And your flight was what time?
My flight was at 1:30, but like it boards like an hour or so before. So you just want to be there. Train delayed. Probably till 9:25. Stand there. Train delayed again. It's awfully early in the morning for a train to be delayed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's had all day for the train to just slightly run behind schedule enough to build up over time where it's a significant delay. And we're all like, what is going on? So we end up taking the commuter rail because we didn't want to risk waiting past the commuter rail departure only for our train to get delayed a third time and then really put us in jeopardy.
What train were you going to take? Amtrak?
Amtrak. Moral of the story is we should just fucking take the commuter rail. Because that was the camp that I was in, but I didn't really care.
What time did you get in?
We got to the airport around 11:30.
Oh, so you're fine.
Yeah, but I can understand, like, if security was busy or we couldn't find something, like, there was just like an opportunity to really be stressed. So
I'm a very early airport goer. I was just curious
train
if
pissed
the
me
delayed
off.
Train. Yes, 100%. Cool. I don't know if I have anything else. Do you have anything else? I need to go finish a video, go to the grocery store. I haven't eaten today. I'm hungry, so I need to eat something.
Rat list. I have like a quick one, and then I have another one. Quick one is I went running today, really hilly here, and it was tough because I went running yesterday, which was Sunday. Today's Monday. Nobody works on Sundays, of course. Monday, you run downtown, it's more busy. So I had to like deal with the walk, don't walk. Yesterday it was just free reign. I could just cross. No cars were coming. It was excellent. Today, so when I run into a don't walk, I don't like to stop. So I'll either go a block over or I'll just like do a back and forth until it's time for me to cross. So I went a block over. I was met with hills. So I'm like, fuck that. I turn around. By the time I get back, it's time to go. Next one, same thing. And I have to go. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to run up the hill. And so I'm explaining this to my friends the same way I am you. And my friend Frank just goes, my bad. What do you mean you're bad? So you didn't make the streets. He was like, it was just an instinct. But like I had sipped my coffee and somebody beat me to the punch. Be like, what do you mean you're bad? Why did you say my bad? Just really funny interaction. And then Rat List is, I understand why they do it. When they make you turn your phones off and put them in like the little sealed bags when you go to a comedy show, you know what it's like to be in like our field and like not being able to go on your phone is like, what do I do with myself? Like I need to be on Twitter. Like it's not healthy. Like you can tell me in the comments, like, yeah, you shouldn't be like this. This is just how I am. I like to be on Twitter.
Game's a game. It is what it is, man. All right. Well, appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to How About Them Celtics, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Tell us how excited you are for the playoffs because we're pumped. If you hit the bell, we're here every single day with new content. Full pods like this one drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps over the morning after each game. And other videos are on the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can also find Jack and I streaming for pregame a half hour before each tip-off. Come hang out. It's really a lot of fun. Chat with the chat. We'll do GeoGuessr. Get you all ready for tip-off. Calm the nerves here. Playoff season. Got to give you some laughs beforehand. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. All pods and recaps are up there. If you only want the audio versions, go ahead and follow. Those will go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review to really help us out in the algorithm. We'd appreciate it very much. Tell your friends. Just do that. Good word of mouth advertising. Email is hbtcpod@gmail.com. We'll be reading your emails on Wednesday when we record. So get them in. You'll have the official playoff opponent by then. So tell us what you think. hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is Jack's1NBA's. TikTok is at Jack's1NBA's. And I have content coming for you for the playoffs. So check it out there. You can follow me on Twitter at SamuelFranceNBA. That's it for us.